This is Laura DeFranco, holistic physical therapist and owner of Brave Healer Productions. I'm excited to bring you my new holistic healing series where you're going to learn from the experts what it means to live fiercely alive, mind, body, and soul. I invite you now to take a breath, relax, and feel the vibe of the words my guest has to share with you today. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So, what if there's something you haven't learned yet about this healing journey that could change everything? Today, I'm bringing you a few of those somethings. What do sacred chant, daily rituals, and tuning into the universe all have in common? Well, there's some of the powerful tools you will find in the new book, The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, Volume 3. It's due out in just a few weeks. The women joining me today aren't just authors, they're expert healing arts practitioners, and they want to help you understand what's possible in terms of your health, well-being, and life. Welcome to the show. Amla Mehta, Jeanette Stewart, and Veronica B. Light. Hey, ladies.
Hi, Laura.
Thank you.
How are you?
Hello.
I am happy to have you all here with me. So you guys, this first book in the first book in this series was born back at the beginning of COVID when I literally woke up one morning and asked a group of my healer friends if they wanted to help me teach the world how to heal at home. No small task there, right? So here now, just 5 months later, you guys, I'm so proud to announce that our third volume will be launching soon. And over the course of these next few weeks, I'm going to introduce you to these wise, brilliant, heart-centered badasses who said yes to this project. So thank you, ladies, for being 3 of those amazing badasses. Amla Mehta is a motivational speaker and author who talks about living authentically by embodying self-love and speaking your truth. Easy for me to say, right? As a legally blind woman, she is an advocate on behalf of people living with disabilities, whether they have mobility, hearing, or visual challenges. I also have Jeanette Stewart with me, best-selling author, certified angel card reader, blogger, military mom, and emissary of joy at Angel Angles and Angel Angles and Well-Being and Wonder. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to do that one again. Angel Angles and Well-Being and Wonder. I love it. She will assist you to own and embrace your divinity and live a life of love, joy, and peace. Gentleness and joy are her superpowers. I also have with me Veronica B. Light. She specializes in helping leaders that are committed to making a difference in the world thrive from the inside out. Her experience as a self-realization and transformation mentor for over a decade has earned her a unique approach to personal development using a new paradigm mindset that powerfully supports people. You ladies are powerhouses. Oh my goodness. Okay, now you guys all know why I asked for the 50-word bios, okay? You guys have so much experience, the expertise, the wisdom, and I'm really, really grateful to you for being here today to share it with us. Amla, I'm gonna start with you today. Talk to us about your chapter. You wrote chapter 12 called Sacred Chant. Talk to us about that tool and why it's been so important in your life.
So yes, thank you for having me. So Sacred Chant is a traditional calling out to the divine. It originated in India. I was born and raised in America, the United States, but it's originated in India, and I am of Indian I'm a product of 2 Indian parents. So therefore I've been doing it since I was 5 years old, chanting out the divine. And so it really means the world to me to share this gift of kirtan, which is what it's called, the traditional formal language of it. And I've been singing since I was 5, and that's what my story's about. And it's all about heart-centeredness. It's nothing to do with thinking. So that's why kids love learning and singing and calling out to the divine, using chant, using music or not. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a voice, and you have a heart, there you go. Anything is possible.
I love reading your chapter, and it did bring me back into a moment in my childhood, because I didn't have a childhood where I felt completely free to speak out loud, let alone sing. and the singing piece, like in chorus and whatever grade that was, it came close to torture for me. I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. So I want you to talk about how it was, who were your biggest mentors, and how did you keep that freedom with your voice into your adulthood?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question a little bit, please? Sorry.
Talk to me about your mentors as a child, the ones who helped you learn that tool, and then how you kept that going into your adulthood.
Okay. Oh, excellent. So basically my mentor was divine, whatever you want to call it, divine source creator, because we are all products of divinity. And so therefore, that was really my calling. And I've been feeling it ever since, even before 5, when I started chanting. So it's having faith within yourself, and that never goes away. It's always accessible. So is divinity. So therefore it's such a beautiful tool because it's everywhere. It's like air. Calling out to divine, you could use it anywhere, at the bus station, at your house, in the cubicle, not in the cubicle, whatever, you're stressed out. There's so many places and times that we need this tool in order to survive and thrive, just even throughout the moment, forget the day. So,
yes. So in your chapter, you spoke about, and I don't know if it was your grandmother or if it was, tell me who that was that you talked about in your story.
Well, it was my mom, definitely.
Oh, okay.
She was my definite mentor, and she really gave me the strength and courage to persevere through anything. I am legally blind, and it's just that I was diagnosed in my teens, but this divine chanting has really helped me and enabled me, and more importantly, the better word is empowered me to really believe in myself, because nobody can do that for you. Only you can do that for you. And whether you're blind or not, whether you're disabled or not, we all have challenges. And the point of sacred connection and divineness is to connect to you first, and then let that pour out to the universe and to the world. Only you can fill your own self cup of love up, and then you can pour it out to the world. It only works that way. You can't do it outside in, you do it inside out.
Well, you 3 here today are an interesting grouping of authors, because the head nods from Jeanette and Veronica are real right now. And you all do this in terms of like empowering your clients to connect with that inner wisdom. And you do it each in very different ways. Jeanette, talk to me about chapter 3, about daily rituals. Tell us what you wrote about and some of the things you help your clients do.
So yes, my chapter is called Divine Daily Rituals, Conjuring Up a Magical Life Using Intention. So it's intentionally calling forth what you desire. And so I talk about my practice of quiet time. And for me, I'm a morning person, so that happens in the morning. And I also talk about a instance with a friend of mine as we were talking about how blessed our life was, and how she talked about being in a Fidelity investment commercial and having the green line appear and show her the next right step. And so that's part of my story in the chapter.
I love that visual. Everyone wants the yellow brick road, right? So yours was the green line, I think.
Yeah,
Everyone wants the path to appear in front of them. You've struggled with pancreatic cancer, and I think that every time I read a story about what you have survived, I feel so grateful to know you, but also just so impressed by your ability to never quit the positivity fight. And to you show up every single place you show up, and only because I know that piece, that background of your story, I think about that all of the time. Would you talk to us about that and how that's been for you?
Yes, so that's a real recent part of my life story. Last year, I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and it just kind of came out of the blue. And as you can imagine, it was quite shocking. And I didn't know what it would mean. I didn't know if I was ever going to see my son again. I didn't know if I'd see my next birthday. And I did a traditional Western medicine regime and used thought mastery. So I was using the holistic approach in my healing. So I used affirmations, I used gratitude, I used intention, I used Western medicine, I used Eastern medicine, and nutrition, and feeling the love and support. And my surgeon said to my folks when I was in the hospital that he had never met a person more positive than me. And so I think that's part of my story also, is to be able to have had this experience and to share hope and positivity with others, that it is possible, even given the grim statistics of pancreatic cancer, that it is possible to survive it and thrive.
Definitely. Do you think so? Were you always that way, or did you have to work on the practice of positivity?
I pretty much have been positive my whole life, and struggled in my teen years when I tried to put my childlike ways behind me and be a responsible adult. And I lost my way for a few years. And then as I became older and realized that life is meant to be a joyous experience, and that we are here to live a life of joy, and it's not drudgery, and that I'm a small piece of a really large community. So did that answer your question?
Well, I think that you did. You said you were always positive. I understand. And in each of you, in your chapters, you're offering awareness to the reader, is how I look at this. You all wrote incredible tools. You all are master teachers too. And, thanks for saying yes to the challenge of actually writing it down in words, because that's not always easy to do. You can be in front of the people that you teach all day long and do that very easily, but to give a reader a practical experience with words on the page is, a whole different challenge. And so you all did it so beautifully. And you all are gifting the reader with different forms of awareness in all of the different ways we think about it. And what I know about positivity is that is a practice, and it has to become kind of an unapologetic discipline, if you will. Right? You choose that, and you have to wake up every single day, no matter what has happened to you, no matter what you have been through, and you have to choose it again. And you have to stop yourself sometimes from the negative self-talk. And so my point being, I know what a badass practice that is. And so to ask you, were you always that way? I really wanted to know about your practice and maybe how you can help the listeners with theirs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any comments about that?
And I think, especially in light of COVID,
Exactly.
I almost had felt guilty because I felt so joyous during this time. I'm celebrating the gift of my life every day, just because I am so grateful to have this experience, and to be able to put the cancer journey behind me, but it's part of my story moving forward to give others hope and to radiate divine love. And as Amma said, that it's always in us, it's like air around us. And for a while in my early childhood, I thought I was separate from God, that God was outside of me. And now I understand that we are all interconnected.
Yes, no doubt. So I'm going to move to you, Veronica, and you wrote chapter 24. Talk to us about tuning into the universe as a tool.
Okay. Well, before I answer that question, I would like to say that and share why I chose this story. When I was invited to contribute to this book, it's the first story that came to mind. So of course I had to tune in, right, and find out like, why am I sharing this story? And
That's such a great example, because even like you took something you taught in this book, and you even used the moment of the book itself, like, and being invited to do the book as an example. I just love that. Thank you. Because it can apply to anything, right?
Yeah, and it gets even more fun, like later that day when I was, getting curious about it, I started receiving the answers from the universe, like, why is this, Veronica? There's a couple of reasons. First of all, to share something that's out of your comfort zone, it's a big stretch, and of course you're supposed to do it, right? Like, do the, like, step out of that fear and live it, right? And that's literally what I wrote about is like the presence, the power of presence. And so anyway, so later that day, I heard about an analogy that I heard. It reminded me of why I'm sharing this story, and it's the analogy of the tree. Like, if the tree falls in the middle of the forest and nobody's around to hear it, does it really happen? Did it really fall? Did it really make a sound? Right?
Yeah.
So taking that philosophical thought and scientifically answering it, it's a no, right? Because the ear is the mechanism that is, in the perception, with that integrated is what creates sound, right? And so we hear about, we are limitless beings. We always talk about it, like, we know that we can do so much more than we know. We're so much bigger than we even realize, right? And so, but what does that really mean to be limitless? Like, what does it even look like? Does anybody really even know what that means? I mean, aside from being the best version of yourself, what does it really mean to be limitless? Well, to me, when I consider all these mystical experiences that I've had over the years, including this one that I contributed to, to this chapter, I can sense that direction of what it feels like to be limitless. Because when I tune into the universe is literally like pulling me in to a space of discovery, like a space that I've never been in before, that I never even heard of or thought of before. And it's an inner knowing that creates like this ripple effect within, that you feel more of the essence of what it means to be limitless, if that makes sense. So yes, tune in.
I love listening to, I mean, in that space, then you begin to realize just what is possible, right? And I love those big questions. You are one of those people who asks big questions.
I love big questions.
Yes.
And you know what else? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. What else?
Okay, so I also wanted to share about, like, the experience that I share in the book, it happened without witnesses. Like I didn't have, nobody was with me. I was in a car, right? I didn't have a witness to be there. So that was another reason why I was supposed to share this story, because this way, just like the tree, right? If nobody's there to hear it, did it really fall? So this experience that I had, did it really happen? Because I was the only one that was there, right? Nobody witnessed it. Like, can you imagine if back when, it reminds me of the 4-minute mile, right? What's his name? Roger Bannister, right? Back in the 1950s, something. Like nobody would have believed him if he ran the 4-minute mile on his own with the stopwatch that didn't exist back then. But if he had done it, would anybody believed him? If he didn't have the witnesses, probably not. But look what happened. He broke a record, and he changed the world. And that is what being limitless is about. Pushing the boundary, you know, getting past that boundary of we're in this earth. We're not. We're way more expanded than that.
So do me a favor and talk to me about the experience that you've had when you've used writing as the tool to be the witness. Just talk to me about actually writing the story and what that process was like for you.
Well, it was uncomfortable because I'm not used to sharing that kind of story or experience with anyone, much less in writing, much less to who knows who's going to read it, right?
Yeah.
But when I tuned into the universe and I received that this is it, like this is what you're supposed to share because it's going to contribute to that limitless thinking, to expand consciousness, which is what I'm all about, right?
And that helps you with the courage.
Absolutely, like
yes.
100%. I just do it. It doesn't matter because it's not about me. It's not about me. It's my story and my experience, and I'm sharing what I know, but it has nothing to do with me.
Yes, I love that. I ask you those questions, you know, for anyone listening who is on that board or they're sitting on that fence and they want to share some things out loud, but they're just not sure. And so I think you really said it. It really isn't about you anymore. It's about who is reading or who's listening, who could just hear something for the first time, hear a piece of your story. And there's a little moment of healing in that. For the writer and for the receiver, that goes in both directions. So Veronica, I want to stay with you for a minute for the next question. And I love to ask all of you authors and experts in this healing world, why should people care that the approach is holistic?
Based on my experience, I believe that we are meant to live holistically. I feel like the barriers that, the only barrier that we have is the one that we think about because we're not used to it. We weren't conditioned growing up a certain way, not living holistically or, going to doctors and whatnot. Everybody grows up differently, but collectively speaking, we're not used to really, believing that the holistic way is the best way necessarily, because everybody, especially like if you live in a fast-paced world, everybody wants quick, gone for the headache, quick, gone for this. Like I don't take any of that stuff. I've never been into any of that, over the counter or anything. Personally, I feel like it's my relationship with the holistic healing aspect of my life has evolved over the years as well, because there's something within me that knew that it's possible. And then when I became an energy healer, even more so when I witnessed the mystical experience that I witnessed that you've read about, it changed everything. It changed my perception, and it gave it a voice. It gave it a voice. Like the holistic way is the way, because we are this earth. Like the earth heals us naturally, like our bodies. Like, and the more we tune into that as well, the healthier we are, mind, body, and spirit. So it doesn't become about fixing. It becomes more about being healthy, right? With the choices that we make.
Yes.
And it starts with our thoughts and our emotions, right? That's what it's really about. Because if we could, we could create coherence, like mind, heart coherence, that will heal everything, right? But we got to work that muscle because we're not used to it, right?
That's
And
right.
so, and that the power of presence creates that coherence because you are in your body. You're outside of your head, outside of the subconscious, the limitations, right? We're more like tuned in to who we truly innately are, which is natural.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to go to you, Amla. Talk about why holistic in this grand scheme of healing. Why does it matter?
Thank you so much. Really, traditional medicine is only dealing with the physical aspects of like symptoms of what are the symptoms of what you feel, this. And it's pretty much, and for all intents and purposes, it feels cut and dry. With going the holistic direction, as I like to talk about it in my work, there are 4 components to a person. There's a physical aspect, a mental, emotional, and a spiritual aspect. And I think with the holistic approach, it helps you incorporate and integrate all 4 components of a person, not just the physical aspect. So being holistic is just that, being whole in and of itself for you. So I think that's what creates a person, those 4 components. And, when you integrate all of that into one, which is what I do with my coaching, with my motivational speaking engagements, it helps. It's not just about my journey going blind. It's about helping people who are challenged, because we're all challenged in some way, shape, or form. Some people are just bigger challenges than others.
Yes, definitely. You said an important word, and that to me was integration, because we have a lot of parts. And I know that, as a kid, we would go to the doctor, if our parent was taking us to the doctors because we had a problem in one part. And I'm thinking physical right this second. So, you go there and you get treated like your body part, and you don't really get asked questions about your mental or emotional health if you're going for physical pain or problem. And you certainly don't get asked questions about your spiritual health or, those aspects, at least in the Western medical system. So holistic to me has been about that integration and finding practitioners who were willing to treat all of me in all of those different areas, but also teach me how to help myself, and giving me perspective that, this, let's say, mindset technique, I'm just using it as an example, this could actually help this physical pain you're having. This spiritual exercise, this way I'm going to connect you with a bigger idea of why you're here on the planet, is all of the big questions that Veronica was talking about earlier. How could that affect physical pain? Can it? And as soon as I think you can get people into the curiosity of what's possible, you're doing the right thing in terms of pointing them towards holistic in general. Jeanette, talk to me about holistic in the aspect of what you do. I know it's been important to you in so many different ways, but what is your version of this?
So Amla had talked about 4 areas, and I'm going to talk about 3 areas. So body, mind, and spirit. And if you take the 3, you have a triangle, which a triangle is the strongest shape that we know of. And the triangle needs to be in balance, or if something's not right, it collapses, right? So it doesn't hold up its load. And the same thing, our body, mind, and spirit need to be in balance. And there's so many different ways that you can integrate that. And I like to think about the bottom part of the triangle being on the earth, and the 2 sides being our mind and spirit. Just making sure that all of those sides of us are in balance.
So speaking of, there are a lot of different ways. What would you, Jeanette, what would you say to somebody who has seemingly tried everything, been to 10 doctors, and is losing hope?
Yes, for sure. Well, I guess it depends on what exactly is going on, but there's always hope. As I know from my story, that pancreatic cancer has very grim statistics, but I knew that I would go through the journey and learn from that and be able to share it with others and share hope. So to instill hope in others, and that could be with a practice such as gratitude. It could be another life-changing practice like yoga, or, just kind of depends on what the person needs. But there's just so many different ways. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe it's relationship that they're having that is not benefiting them and is very detrimental to their body, mind, and spirit. So it depends, but there's
It depends is a very common
tools.
answer. It's always going to depend, right? You guys did such an amazing job in this book with offering hope in 25 different chapters in terms of just, hey, when you're speaking to that person and they think that they've tried everything, and they've actually said that out loud, and there is always going to be something, I believe, that they just haven't heard of yet, haven't tried yet. Maybe they've heard of it, but they're not so sure, right? So they haven't actually been brave enough to try it yet. Just some kind of perspective, some avenue that they haven't gone down. And I think that if anything, these books are doing that. They're giving people that perspective. And I love that about these books. So I'm going to go back to you for a minute and just, you have had a tremendous challenge, as well as many of our authors, sharing their authentic stories about what got them to this point of trying to help other people with their challenges. What would you say to somebody who's just losing that hope?
That's a awesome question. Hope comes from the heart. I always talk about that. We wouldn't be alive, of course, if we didn't have a heart. So that's always accessible. I think I mentioned that earlier, but it's really important because, in my case, I'm still going blind. I see through fog right now, and I probably have about 5 more years to see, according to doctors. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. And talking about living in uncertainty, I'm living proof of that. But the point is hope comes not only from the heart, it's just the fact that it also goes along with acceptance, that living in the now, being in the now. Right now, I could see the color purple. Right now, I could still read. Right now, I could do pretty much anything physical except drive. There is a gift, right? There's a gift. There is something, and there's always some glimpse of a flicker of light, as I like to talk about, of hope within you. It's just a matter of tapping into that. And the way to tap into that with my teachings is through the heart.
Yes, I love that. I think earlier when Jeanette was talking, I was thinking about hope, and I was also thinking about joy. And I was thinking about the awareness that it takes, that practice of awareness. It tends to be a repetitive topic in these circles because it's so important, right? But what does it take to key into your heart when in those moments where you feel like, you've lost the hope? And I know the sacred chant has been one of your tools. What else do you do, Amla, when you're faced with that feeling?
Can I just say, this is my favorite question you've asked so far. I really love yoga. Yoga has really helped me tremendously. Oh my gosh, I'm an avid yoga goer. So like that, it's a mind, body, spirit thing. Just like Jeanette was talking about, it really taps into all aspects of myself, the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the
Yes.
spiritual side. So it definitely balances me out. And it feels like in the olden days commercials, back in the 80s, the V8, I should have had a V8. That's what I feel
Yes.
like every time I do yoga. Yeah.
I remember that. And we all just aged ourselves by saying so. That's okay. Veronica, talk to me about the same thing. What would you say to somebody who's just lost the hope, and in terms of connecting to that, well, just their own presence, practice, their awareness?
That is a big question, and I love that question because you get so many different answers.
Of course, yeah.
You have to believe in something. Whatever your faith is, whatever you believe in, source, spirit, creator. It's so important, because if you don't, you're not going to feel like you're part of the all, and I think that that's where it really stems from. It's that whole feeling of separation, the illusion of separation that leads to depression. Like you don't feel like you belong here, but you do. And that, what I would say would be my focus on, how am I a part of this world and why? I'm going to get curious about that. I'm going to find out why I'm here.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And faith is just, I feel like faith is huge. And faith in yourself is even bigger, but you can't have faith in yourself if you don't believe in anything that is bigger than you, like creation itself. But that's what I would say. I would say getting past the illusion of separation is key.
Yes.
Because once you get past that, you never go back.
I
You
get
never
that.
feel depressed again, ever, ever, ever. You feel part of the all. You're whole and complete as you are right now. And you know that we're all one. So that right there in itself, I would say, would be the goal for whoever is, in that state of depression, is to just tune in. To find yourself.
We all teach so many different ways to tune in, which is I love. I'm always talking about yoga. You guys will get ready for our interview with one of our authors, Buddy, who is going to talk about yoga. And Veronica spoke about the illusion, which I don't know about you gals, but it was well into my adulthood when I even had that conversation with anybody. So these things, many of these topics, I wasn't taught as a kid. It was after I got into holistic physical therapy and ran in circles with people who could actually have those conversations. And we have Miss Sandy McKee's gonna be doing our chapter on, get out of the illusion pass, which will be really, really interesting. So you all are helping each other communicate these ideas, and you're all communicating these ideas in such beautiful, unique, different ways, right? And you guys know that I believe that there is someone that needs to hear it in exactly the way you have to tell it. And that is why, if we picked one tool for this book, and we just picked breath work, for instance, we asked 25 people to write about that topic, we would have 25 unique tools and stories and ways to communicate it, right? So that's why I think it's so important to do these books and to keep doing them, so that other people have a chance to have those conversations in any particular way that they can. I want to just quickly mention and remind everybody that this book project is so much more than a book, and we have a beautiful private bonus group on Facebook for book owners to come and rub elbows with all of these author experts. They're doing live trainings in the group for you. They're answering questions. So you're not left high and dry after reading a chapter about the illusion and kind of wondering, oh my gosh, what are they talking about, right? So you can actually come into this private group and ask your questions, your big questions, and get them answered and get some more guidance and take it all to the next level. I just think that this is such an incredible gift to give beyond really the already the gift of the book. So thank you all for being a part of that as well. So Veronica, I'm going to stick with you for a minute and have you answer this one. And I'm going to leave it big and vague on purpose.
Okay.
Talk to me about joy and healing.
Ooh, joy. Wow, I love that word. I will say that joy comes from the heart. And the heart is a creative center of all. And the heart is connected to the soul, and the soul knows exactly what brings you joy. So if you could really establish like a relationship with the soul, which is what I'm all about, you can really find your joy in your own like special abilities, your talents, because that's what it all starts with you, right? And it's in here, not out here. Starts in with you, within you. And once you tap into like what your gifts are, what your abilities, your talents, all those like the ones that you were given by sort, by spirit, like you're born with these talents and gifts. Everybody has them. Everybody does. So I would strongly recommend people to really establish a relationship with yourself, your soul, because that will guide you to your joy, and your joy will have a ripple effect in the rest of your life. I mean, you will start feeling joyful for the smallest little things, like more than you could ever even imagine.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think that all of us get very excited when we talk about this subject because we know what's possible inside of it. And I really want the listeners who are struggling to just open up and receive this energy that we're bubbling over with seemingly, right? Because we've been there and we understand. And we want to bring you to the place where you can experience this vibration, because that's what it is. Jeanette, talk to me about that vibration, healing, and its connection to joy.
So this is one of my personal favorite topics, and I have written a book series called On a Path of Joy. And joy, as Veronica says, is a very individual thing. What brings me joy might make you run away, vice versa. But to tune into what brings us joy and to cultivate that and to feel that sense of wonder. A lot of times we can look back and think what we enjoyed as a child, and that's a strong indicator of what could bring us joy now. And to do those things, to indulge that inner child within. And if she wants an ice cream cone, give her an ice cream cone and let her savor every delicious bit of that. And that our joy is contagious, and our joy is also a self-care prescription, and it is a contagion for good in the world. And I had to change my name when I came back on this Zoom call because my friends call me the Goddess of Joy. So my given name here, but you can call me Goddess of Joy.
I love that, Jeanette. Thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to me about joy and healing.
Thank you. So I'm going to start off with a really mini story. I went to a 10-day silent retreat. It's based on Buddhism. And anyway, the point is one of the teachings was being present, whether it's a low tide, medium tide, high tide, any tide, it doesn't matter. And that's where joy stems from. Is for me, especially in my work that I do, is being present with that. Because if you can embrace the good times, the medium times, the bad times, the awesome times, all at once, just embrace it with all heart in the moment. It's easier said than done, of course, but we can. I've done that time and time again, and what brings me joy, even, I have to say this, it's so important. The most amazing thing that I could say about myself is that, ironically enough, by me going, basically physically going through the dark, I'm recognizing I am the light, and there's the joy. So wherever you're at in your life, again, it's your mountain to climb, big, short, tall, big, small, it doesn't matter. It's your mountain to climb, and you find joy in every step that you take, because it's your mountain, and it's your way of climbing up to fate and to what you're destined to do. And we're all healers here, and it's a beautiful thing that we're all sharing such incredible gifts with not only with each other, but to the world. So
Yes.
I thank you for that, Laura.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. I believe that feeling is healing. And so I think many of us were taught not to feel as kids. And so we've grown up building armor. And, you know, I'm thinking of that Brene Brown quote, if you numb the pain, you also numb the joy. And so just helping people on this journey for me has been about helping them feel all the different things, helping them by, you know, just telling them to give themselves permission to feel everything, because when you can feel some of the stuff that maybe feels bad, you also have a capacity to feel the stuff that feels really, really good. And some of us, for whatever reasons, we don't want to go to either end of the spectrum, actually. You'd think everybody would want to hang out over here in ecstasy all the time. Well, a lot of people don't even give themselves permission to feel the pure, you know, ecstatic joy, because they've been told that when they're too much, they have to quiet down, or when they, you know, when it's that good, it can't be real, or, oh my gosh, all the different things that we tell ourselves and that we've heard from other people. So yeah, we need to do a whole nother podcast on that topic.
Seriously. Yeah.
Right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so ladies, I have one last question for all of you today. I'm going to start with Jeanette. Jeanette, tell me something you love to do so much you lose track of time. We're going to just keep on this joy track here today.
Okay, so cooking, writing, being out in nature.
Yeah.
That's more than one thing.
Because there's many things, right? I know. The nature thing comes up a lot for a lot of the healers that I know, in terms of just being out in that space where the vibration is already naturally higher. And if any of you are wondering why we always say nature, 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 is because there's real reasons. And, you know, get your feet bare and put them in some dirt or some grass or some sand or something other than, you know, concrete for once, and you'll see what we mean. But yes to nature, Jeanette, for sure.
Yes. Nature is the superconductor of the divine.
There you go. Nice. I like that quote. I might have to make a poster of that one.
Yeah.
You know,
that just came to me yesterday or today. I forget which one. So.
I love it. Amla, talk to me about something you love to do so much you lose track of time.
Awesome. I love singing. I love hugging trees. That's my thing. I love yoga by the river and meditation. It's so, I'm lost. I'm lost when I'm meditating.
Yeah. See, now you combine a physical movement like yoga and you do that by the river, and you've got the double whammy of awesomeness right there, right? Veronica, how about you?
Thank you.
That reminds me of one of the things I love to do, and that is yoga on the beach.
Yeah.
Love it. Like the combination, right? Being out.
Yes. And you know, there's one thing that has come up in lots of the interviews, and that is just making sure that people understand that you don't need anything special. You don't need to purchase anything special. You don't need to go anywhere special. That right in the moment that you are sitting in right now as you hear these words is the perfect moment to just breathe and pull in the gratitude for being able to take a deep breath. And I always just like to kind of bring us back to that place where we know that that is true, and every day that we wake up, that's always available, is just to be grateful for that breath. So yeah, ladies, thank you so much for what you're doing in the world and for being here to share it with us today, and for these beautiful chapters that you wrote in the books. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Laura. Thank you so much.
So you guys, please explore these amazing author expert healers websites. I'm going to have you linked up in the show notes below. So go on down, take a little scroll, and you know, see what they have to offer. The new book, Volume 3 of The Ultimate Guide to Self-Healing, is coming out October 1st. Of course, we'll have that link here for you when it is available. And until then, just keep this question. I started the show off with it, and I'm going to end with it as well. Keep this question up right where you can grab onto it, especially on the days you're not feeling so great. What if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? Right? So we're going to share lots of those somethings with you in this series. Thank you all so much for being here. Until next time, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.